Okay, so today I'm going to talk about something quite different from the last videos I made. Though for the Hollis and Tok fans, I'm gathering new information that I got here and there, always about music. I will probably do soon a new video about them. Today the subject is about decluttering, recycling, upcycling, minimalism, zero waste. It's a lot of things. I cannot talk about everything in this video. I'm just going to talk about my position, my experience, and what I do related to these things. Where am I in the middle of all this? So you must know that I'm not a minimalist right now, at least. I aspire to be kind of a minimalist, but my definition of minimalism. I'm not a hoarder either. I'm going to explain you what I am exactly. When I was a child, I grew up in a family. My mother didn't have much when she was a child herself. So when she became adult, she managed to make some kind of money, and she was buying a lot. She always fears to lack of things, and she has a tendency to stock. For example, if she buys some makeup, she's not going to buy one, she's going to buy maybe 3 or 4. I don't know if she's still like that now, but it's how she used to be. And I grew up in this environment where things were not, it was more the fear of lacking which was the main thing in our home, and stocking and having a lot of stuff. When I was a child, I had a completely opposite reaction to that. I was not lacking of everything, so of course I didn't know how it was to lack of something, and I was more towards having not much, but loving each item I had. So I didn't know then when I was a child, because it was a very long time ago. Well, a very long time. I'm old, but I'm not so old. But, well, it was not now. And I think it was easier then because we didn't have so much as we may have now. When we were buying, for example, a washing machine, it could last a very long time. Now it doesn't last so long. I think that the quality is not the same as before. I look very old by saying that, I know. Anyway, I didn't have a lot of things, but I had a tendency to declutter basically every month. Every month I had my crisis and I wanted to declutter, and I started that very young. I was obsessed by the idea of having only things that I really loved. I had no idea what I was doing. It was my thing. I didn't know that it could have a name. Now it has a name. I remember that I had a friend. I was maybe 12 or 13, something like that. And I had this friend. She was sharing a bedroom with her sister, and she didn't feel that she was in her bedroom. She felt like invaded by her sister, and I came to her home and I helped her to arrange the furniture so she could have a space for herself and there was another space for the sister. And I really liked moving the furniture, decluttering, cleaning, rearranging. I was already like that. When I was even smaller, I think I was 11, something like that. We were camping a lot on vacation in summer, and I used to go in the camping and go in the trash and take all the glass bottles because I knew that I could bring them to the grocery store and they were giving me some little cash. It was nothing, but I like the idea of making some money from the trash. I like the idea of cleaning the camping and removing all this trash. I didn't know what I was doing because we were not talking so much about ecology then, so I didn't know that what I was doing had a name. And my parents, it made them laugh a lot because they thought that I was doing that only for the money. But no, it was not only for the money, it was really with the idea of recycling. I like the idea of taking a trash and doing something else with it. Then later I used to recycle a lot, so I was recycling everything. Something as ridiculous as that. So you know, it's your toilet paper, what is in the middle, and I used to recycle that. So I think it's biodegradable, so it's not like plastic. It's not so terrible if you put that in the trash. But I was doing that with it. So I did that. Whew, did I write a year? No. So you can put your business card in it. You can put your credit card, debit cards in it. And I did that. So I love the idea of recycling something like that and doing something. And I sold a lot. I made many like these when I was exhibiting in Paris. So I made that at least, I would say at least 15 years ago. I was selling them $12 each. And I made a lot. This one was mine. I don't think that I still have some to sell. I'm not sure. I must check in my shop if I have a few remaining. I sold a few here in Los Angeles, but most of them have been sold in Paris. This is my book. I already showed it in another video. The name is Une nouvelle vie pour vos objets. It means a new life for your things. And I wrote it with Jean-Pierre Delpech, who he's still alive, but he's retired now. He was a specialist in molding, in resins. He wrote a lot of books about molding and resins, and also work on leather, things like that. And I came with the subject, and I asked him if he wanted to do a book with me, because he was my colleague. We were working at the same place then, but I thought that he had an experience in books that I didn't have, and he was kind of my teacher when I started working in the same company as his. And he's the one who taught me a lot of techniques that I didn't know, and I thought that it would be great if we were doing a book together. And he agreed at the condition that he was writing his part of the book, but I would correct his part, and I would be the one to go to work with the publisher because he didn't have much time. So we did that. The book was released, I think, in 1999 or 2000, something like that. It is not published anymore. I mean, you can find it, I think, in second-hand on Amazon, France, Canada, Fnac, also Fnac, the Fnac stores in France. I think you can still find them in second-hand. I'm not showing you this to make some money and to sell my book. It's just to show you that recycling was really, really my subject. It was really an important thing for me all my life. So, am I a minimalist or a hoarder? I'm not a minimalist. I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder in the sense I'm not going to go and buy a bunch of things every day or every week or even every month. I basically buy nothing except my food, of course, except maybe toiletries that I need, like toilet papers or toothpaste, or I don't know, things to clean my face or things like that, you know, that you use. And I don't buy much. I use really the strict minimum that I need. I don't buy much clothes because I use what I have. I buy second-hand clothes. I cannot say often because I don't buy often clothes. So It happened to me to buy things at Goodwill. I have no problem with that. I never bought from eBay, but I wouldn't mind to do it. I sometimes buy from Target. It's not the best ethical place to buy some clothes. I really don't buy much clothes. I really use what I have. And what I have is really worn because I paint, so I have a lot of stains on my clothes. And I walk a lot, so I have a lot of things which are completely worn. But you know, to go to the post office or to paint or to work on my computer, I don't need to be really well dressed. I just need to be correct when my customers are coming. I must look like something. But I would say I have enough clothes not to need to buy all the time. So I don't buy much. I don't buy furniture anymore because I have too much furniture. So I rather try to sell my furniture. And I don't buy linen for my bed or towels or things like that because I have too much. So I rather use what I have. I don't buy, what do I don't buy? I don't buy handbags, I have too many. Basically, I don't buy much. When I go to buy something, it's because I need to do a present for someone, for my son, grandsons, family, or friends. But for me, it's really very rare that I buy something. If you ask my children, they will say, our mom, she's a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder, so I'm going to tell you the story, you will understand. When I was very young, I got married. I had basically nothing. I had not much with me, but my first husband was kind of a hoarder. It's not that he was a hoarder, he was messy, so it was a mess. And for me, who used to declutter all the time, it was kind of difficult to keep the space clean, but I tried my best. Then I had a kid, I had my first son, and he got a lot of toys and things like that, so I still managed to keep the place right. Not all the time, but I was trying really hard. Then I got divorced, I moved with my son, and I arrived in a place where there was almost nothing. It was great. I really loved having a space with almost nothing. But then I met my second husband, who still is a musician and had a lot of gears, and he needed a studio, and we started having a lot of stuff like that. It's when I started working, I was doing demonstration in a shop of art and craft supplies. So I was preparing a lot of my demonstrations in my home. So I had a lot of supplies at home, and sometimes for techniques that I was not doing myself, but I was just asked to do demonstrations about them, which didn't mean that at home I was going to do that. So I ended up with a lot of supplies which were used, so they couldn't sell them because they were already used for the demonstration, and that I was not especially using myself. So I ended up with that. And then I started recycling a lot of furniture. So I was finding some furniture in the street. I was upcycling them, I was repainting them, redecorating them, and I was then exhibiting them or selling them. And I had more and more things, actually more and more trash in my home to upcycle. So basically what I had in my home was mostly things that I found in the street or that people were giving me and that I was transforming. At a point I had so much that my second husband found a way to provide me a studio outside of the home because it was becoming too much for our small home that we had then. And I had another kid who himself had his things, who was very messy, even though I was trying to teach him how to declutter and make some kind of order, tidying up in his bedroom, but he was not really good at that. So 2 sons, 1 husband, plus me who was recycling a lot, plus a dog, plus a cat. It became such a mess. So my home became something chaotic, but it was, as we say, an organized chaos. People who were coming at home, they didn't have the feeling that it was such a mess. People were saying it's very warm and welcoming, very artistic. We see that there is a lot, but a lot seems organized. So I've always been like that. I always needed to organize things. But when you have a lot, it's becoming more and more difficult to organize. It's really hard because you exhaust yourself because there is too much. So then I got separated with my second husband, so many years later, 20 years later, and I moved to the US. So we sold our apartment and I put all my stuff in a container and it left in the boat. But many months after I actually moved to the US. So it means that I was in the US at the beginning with nothing, because I had no furniture, nothing. Everything was still in Paris waiting for me to say, okay, go, you can bring everything. I couldn't bring everything right away because I didn't have my visa yet. So I didn't want to bring everything and then they say no and I have to bring back everything. No, I didn't want to do that. So it was stocked somewhere, kept somewhere. And my second husband, except his gears, his musical gears, he basically didn't want anything. So we managed to sell a lot of furniture in Paris, which was great because I kept only what I liked. But still, it was a lot of stuff because I still had all the things of my kids when they were small. I decluttered a lot before packing everything because I always wanted to pay for a half of container, so I really needed to purge a lot. So when I arrived here, I had nothing, even not a bed. So at the beginning, I was sleeping on you you have to blow in the mattress. I had a bed like that at the beginning. I didn't even have a table. I didn't have a chair. So I was in the apartment that I rented when I arrived in Los Angeles. I had to sit on the floor. I didn't even have a chair. So I went to IKEA and I bought 1 table and 2 chairs, something like that. Really the strict minimum needed. But I didn't have also plates or things like that. So I think that if I remember well, I went to Kmart where I bought plates, glasses, forks, things like that. Once I got my visa, so I decided that, okay, now the container can come. So the container, they just took the container, put it on the boat, and it took about 1 month, something like that, 3 weeks to arrive here. So suddenly I had things in double because I had 2 tables, several chairs, and a lot of things for the kitchen that I didn't need. So it was becoming like too much, like 2 lives melt together. My Parisian life melt with my Los Angeles life. I know that a lot of American people, they don't take their furniture with them when they move. In France, we don't do that. When we have a piece of furniture, sometimes it's things which come from the family, it's heirlooms, so we don't get rid of everything. For example, I had a drawer chest that I love, which is English, and I love it, and I didn't want another one. I didn't want an IKEA one. I wanted this chest. So even my table, which is here in marble, actually, it's very heavy, but I got it from my first marriage. And I love this table and I use it as my desk now. So I'm glad that I have it. So then I opened my shop here. And also I had to buy a lot of stock for my shop because the aim is to sell something, so I needed some stuff. So I was going in flea markets and I was buying stuff. I have to change off camera every time, I'm sorry about that. I was saying that I went in the flea markets and I bought a lot of things for my shop because I'm selling only one-of-a-kind things, only vintage things mostly. Flea markets, it was perfect because I was finding things which were perfect for my shop. So the mix of French things that I have with vintage American or English things, that was perfect. So I opened my shop in 2010, and in 2011 I started selling more online, more and more. At the beginning it was mostly in my shop and not much online, and at a point in 2011 it really started selling well online and less in my shop, and at a point it was so incredible to see how much I was selling online. Well, how much, I'm not a power seller, I'm selling like crazy, but I mean I was selling rather well online, and in my shop it was a true catastrophe because people here, once they come in the shop once, twice, they get bored and they go somewhere else. It's like that. It's not like in Paris where we go back and go back and go back. Well, there are probably some stores which manage to have all the time people coming in, like, I don't know, Urban Outfitters or Target or, I don't know, Anthropologie. But a little shop, it's very difficult to attract a lot of people unless you advertise a lot, and it costs a lot of money, and I'm not very good at advertising. So my sales online were much better than in my shop. So at a point I wondered why, being in such a big space for my shop, if nobody is coming, while I should be working more online, because it's where I have more success. So I decided to change of space, and I'm at the same address, but I occupied a much smaller space, which is more like a showroom, I would say. So customers can still come, but it's very small compared to the one that I had before. And I mostly work on my computer the whole day because all my sales are there. So I had to take back my stock of the bigger shop and bring it in the smaller shop. So of course I couldn't put everything in the smaller shop. So what happened? I took a part of it in my house, and I have a dedicated room which is basically where I put my stock, basically, which is a room only for my stocks because it was too much. So I have a lot of things in my home which are actually on sale. For example, I cannot put the clothes that I'm selling in my shop because the sun is damaging them. There is too much sun in Los Angeles. So I have to stock them in a closet in my home to keep them fresh, far from the sun, to keep them good. So when I sell them, they are good to go. Otherwise they fade. It's terrible. Anyway, so my home became seriously cluttered. I can say that. Too much. Every time I'm selling something, I'm not only happy for the money, I'm also happy because something which goes away from my home or from my shop, and I'm just glad just for that. I'm always trying to get rid of stuff, to get rid. The problem is that I don't know how it happens. Things come to me. When I say things come to me, I mean people are coming and dropping things in front of my door, thinking, oh, okay, she's going to sell it, that's fine. Like if I was a thrift store or something, which I'm not. I'm not a thrift store. I'm a store. I'm a true store. I try to find quality things, you know. I'm not that there is no quality things in the thrift store, but I mean the aim of my shop is not to be a thrift store. I usually don't take things from people. Before I was doing that, now I don't anymore. So I ended up with the things that I had to put back in the trash, unfortunately, because it was impossible to sell. And there are things which were good and that I actually sold, and people didn't care. They didn't even ask me to, they didn't leave me a note saying, hey, it's mine, could you give me some money if it sells? Or no, it was a donation. And so at a point I had to tell everybody around me, hello, I'm not a thrift store, stop dropping things in front of my door because I won't take it. So go to Goodwill, go to, I don't know, whatever thrift store, you know, I'm not taking things, but the things have a tendency to go to me. So basically, I am someone who is not a minimalist, who is not a hoarder, who would like to have some space in my home, who would like to have less stuff, but who is a little invaded with things and who tries really hard to get rid of them. But I cannot also throw away my stock, because my stock is my way of doing some money. So if I throw away my stock, I will have nothing left to do my activity, and my activity depends on my visa, and if I don't have a stock to sell, I cannot renew my visa. So you see how it's complicated. Anyway, even if I didn't have the visa problem, I still need to make a living and to sell some stuff. So my aim in the next month is really to reorganize my home correctly. My son moved his musical studio, so I have now a new space that I can occupy. I'm very sad that he moved because I loved listening to him playing some music. I loved that, but in the same time, it creates a space for me to really put there, like a warehouse, everything which is ready to sell and to separate from my home. Maybe also to make kind of a studio for me, I mean, to paint there. So you are going to see me doing that in the next month because it's a lot of work. I actually started sorting stuff yesterday. I started sorting stuff, things which are in the room of my home where I have all this stock, and I found a lot of trash that I was keeping to recycle. Like, for example, I kept some cereals boxes flattened in a bag, several, because I was watching Jenny Belly videos and I thought that I was going to make journals with that. I love the idea of recycling trash and doing some craft with it. You know, I recycle envelopes to make some journals, and I thought, okay, the cover of a journal with a cereal box is perfect, but I made two, and that's fine. And stop. I cannot keep all the trash of the world. The problem is that I'm also interested in zero waste. So, okay, these cereal boxes are cardboard, so it's not plastic, but I am trying to avoid plastic in my life, which is very hard. It's very hard. I will explain to you later because I'm still searching on the subject. I will explain to you later what I'm doing. I'm far, far, far from being zero waste. The other day I was at Target's and I was trying to see if it was possible to buy some food there where there was no plastic involved. It's impossible. And think of it, when you declutter your home, okay, you get rid of the things you don't want, that doesn't spark joy, that you want to get rid of them. Perfect. But what are you going to do? Are you going to bring them to Goodwill, for example? So I was reading that the clothes that we bring at Goodwill for, I don't know, 70% end up in the landfill. That's not what I want. So I've been searching where can I give the fabrics, the clothes that I don't want, and that it doesn't end up in the landfill. So I think that the best thing is to give them to people you know, or if it's too damaged, I fortunately have a container USAgain not far from my home, so I'm searching about them. I think I'm going to do that. I just want to be sure that it's honest and that it's ethical, and that they actually do what they say, because you never know. So basically, I'm in these thoughts right now. I have to combine getting rid of stuff with the idea of not producing too much waste. So about the KonMari method, so I told you that I already did that before, a long time ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, but I basically have to redo it again. I already did my clothes, but I think that I already have to do it again, the clothes also. The books, it's another story. I don't go fast enough on the books because I get rid basically of nothing about the books. Actually, it's not true. I've got rid of a few books and I've sold many of the books that I got rid of. So I should maybe continue on that. But I have this room that I want to empty and declutter, and it's going to take a lot of time. I think I really need to tackle that before being able to continue my Marie Kondo journey. So I will keep you posted about that if it does interest you. If you have any questions, specific questions on the subject, please don't forget to comment. If you want to see what's next, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell, otherwise you won't be alerted when I release a video. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here because otherwise my video is going to be too long. If you want me to explain to you how I'm doing that, I can do a video on that. Actually, I recycled that by another manner. I created a little painting with birds, and it has been published in Stampington and Company in 2010, if I remember well. That was another story. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for subscribing. It has been very interactive these last days. I really like that. It's how YouTube should be, a big conversation with really nice people. Okay, I see you very soon. Bye bye.